Hey y'all, how y'all doing? It's your girl Emmy here. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the Emmy experience, the Emmy extravaganza. And we're just gonna keep the ball rolling. Today we're talking about Virgo Venus, and I'm just gonna get right to it because me and intros, we don't always get along. If you guys aren't familiar with Venus, I will link in the description box and up above what Venus represents in astrology so you can get better understanding, because since there's a video, I am not going to describe it. Virgo Venus. Venus is detrimented when it's in Virgo, which means it doesn't like to be in this sign because Venus is all about love, and love is not really a practical thing. It's a bit more emotional and it's a bit more, I don't know how else to describe it. It's not a practical thing. Now Virgo, on the other hand, everything is practical, everything is logical. So it's kind of like these two principles, they don't really mesh well. So Virgo Venuses, they kind of have, I don't want to say a harder time in love, but they just want to practicalize so much to the point that they analyze too much of the small details that don't really matter when it comes to love. But I'm gonna go into it. Virgo Venuses, they are very reserved. They can come off hard to read, but they are reading you. It's not that they are afraid of commitment, but they are going to analyze you until they decide if you are worthy of their trust. Also, if it's safe for them to communicate how they feel with you. They're very particular with who they open up to because they really need to feel you out. They analyze everything, like I just said, but they're not always going to call you out on what they analyze. Like, if they catch, they're gonna catch everything. I'm not even gonna say if, because they do. They're gonna catch you lying because they're gonna notice you look away, or they're gonna notice every little body language, every little hint. And they may not always say when they peep something, but it doesn't mean that they didn't peep it. They're just not the type to be like, I know you're lying, woo all up in your face like that. They're just gonna be like, oh, that's how you move? Noted, for future reference. And they will store that in their little mental database. And when it comes to opening up to you later on in life, if you've lied to them before, they will pull that little moment out of their database and they will remind themselves not to tell you or express their emotions or be vulnerable with you, because they know that you're not someone that they can trust because of how you moved in the past. Now, a Virgo Venus's flirting style is very different, and I think most people, they don't catch it. So they're very acts of service. They will put in the effort that makes you feel more comfortable and will always do nice things for you. So let's say if you're moving, they're going to volunteer and ask, hey, do you need help moving your stuff? Or, you know, if you don't understand your math homework, I don't know, they'll be like, oh, well, I was pretty good at math, so maybe I can help you out. Like, because Virgo is, it's the maiden, it's very service oriented. So like, they want to not serve you, but be of service for you. So if you catch them constantly like, oh, well, like, I can help you with this, or like, oh, like, it's okay if your wrist hurts when you're trying to cook, so they'll just like finish the cooking for you. Like, those kinds of little acts are them letting you know that they will be here for you, or that they care about you and that they like you, because they're trying to make your life easier by helping you out. They are, I don't want to say they're the type of people who fall in the background, but they're not like a Leo where they need to be the center of attention, or like an Aries or a Sagittarius. Like, they don't need all that. And there's nothing wrong with being confident, but if you're more of an arrogant person, or if you just need to be the center of attention, or just like you're the loud person in the room, they're not going to be attracted to that, because they like a humble, or like, not even just humble, but they just want to be chill. They just want to be chill and they don't need all that. So if you're the type of person, if you're into them and your love language is by showing off, like a Leo would, or Aries would, it's not that they're not interested in you, it's just your approach is a little too much for them. So just be mindful of that. Like, don't be obnoxious. Okay, people aren't gonna like this one. Everybody knows that Virgos are like criticizing. Constructive criticism It's their love language. Like, it really is. Like, they are all about improvement and like the small details because they pay attention to those details. So if they're the type that's going to tell you like, hey, I think you should change, they mean it. And they don't mean it in like a you look crazy. But don't take it personally when they say that like you need improvement in this area. Like, they're not trying to personally attack you. They just want to, they're all about improvement. So they want to help you improve and be the best version of you because they're constantly trying to be their most perfect self. So it's not that they're because you're a reflection of them type of thing because you're their partner. It's just like they just want everything to be perfect, so they're trying to help you be perfect because they think that you also think that way, even though you don't, right? Even though you think you look fine too. I'm not saying that you aren't trying to be perfect, but like they just think their idea of perfect is the only idea of perfect. So if they say something like, let's say you dye your hair and you come home and they say, oh, I like the other color better, it's not that they don't like this color, it's that they really think you look better with the other color. Like, that's how they can come off nitpicky and like a turn off for some people, but they don't mean it like that, you know? It's never really something like major. So it's just like really tiny, like why the fuck did you notice this? Something, you know what I mean? It's just something very minimal, but like they just want, it could be big too. Like if you are someone like a Leo Venus and you want to be shown off, this is not the person for you. They aren't lovey-dovey. They aren't that affectionate. They see love in a very practical way. Looking at it from, do you balance me out? Do I balance you out? Does this make sense? Oh, she loves to cook, but she hates cleaning. I hate to cook, but I love cleaning. Okay, this makes sense. Or like, I'm really good with the finances. They're really good with the home life. It's a good balance. We balance each other out. That's how they look at love. So that's what I mean by like love Venus. She doesn't need to be this practical. She doesn't need to be seen this way. But this is why Venus and Virgo, they don't get along because they don't see love for all that it could be. They just see it in the very small picture state of mind, if that makes sense. Since they do take a long time to feel comfortable with you, they are willing to make it work as long as it still makes sense, you know? If you start acting crazy or whatever, or if those things like let's say like back to that scenario of you love to cook, they love to clean, let's say you stop cooking and other things like that just don't make sense anymore. Like, okay, this whole even exchange that we have going on, it's not even anymore. That's when they're probably going to be turned off by you or may not want to make this relationship work anymore. They love honest and direct communication. They will give you their honest opinion even if it comes off harsh because they're not emotional people. So they're not afraid to like just tell you what's going on because they don't have those emotions that's behind it because it's so practical. Or as a Virgo Venus, I'm talking to the Virgo Venuses out there, when you're in an argument with your person or your friend or whatever it is, I think it's really important for you to take a look at the bigger picture because you guys focus so much on the small details and all the little things that like you can allow an argument to continue that doesn't need to be there, even though Virgos aren't very confrontational or argumentative. It doesn't mean that arguments won't happen. I'm just saying like as long as your argument isn't based off of something very small and you can remind yourself of, you know what, like, because nothing is perfect. That's the thing. Virgos want everything to be perfect, and perfect doesn't make sense. We're imperfectly perfect. That's what makes us perfect. We're imperfectly perfect. So as long as you can remember that we are imperfectly perfect, instead of imposing all these ideas of what is perfection on yourself and on other people, then that will help allow the relationship to continue. Venus doesn't like to be here, and Virgo is a sign that is very critical on themselves. They're very hard on themselves. They want to be perfect. A sign like Libra or Venus in Libra, like they, you know, if it's like, if I feel like I look like a mess today, they will still go outside and be confident in it. Where if somebody with a Virgo Venus wouldn't feel confident in that because everything is not well equipped. Everything is not where it should be. Everything isn't looking up to par. So that's how they can go down this negative mental thought path, because Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So that's That's mental talk, self-talk, communication, and they are prone to negative self-talk because they're so hard on themselves because they're so stuck on this idea of being perfect. And then it can put a real strain on their relationship because your partner doesn't care if you're perfect because we're all imperfectly perfect, but you do, and you're also trying to impose this idea of them to be perfect even though we're all imperfectly perfect. Do you see what I'm saying here? I really hope y'all are getting this, Virgos. Let me know if I'm making sense. Comment down below, please. But yeah, if they try to keep this idea and image of what perfect is, like they feel unworthy or they feel like they are undeserving of love, like if they have that kind of mentality or they're so consumed with their negative thoughts that it takes over, then they are prone to things like escapism. Venus rules pleasure, so chasing pleasure. So they are prone to alcohol, drugs, sex, like turning to those things, gambling. If they have a messed up idea of their self-worth, then I'm not saying this is happening to all Virgo Venuses. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying if something happened to them in their development, or if they have a really fucked up idea of what their self-worth is or self-value, if it's not up to par, because they want to be perfect and their self-worth is messed up in themselves, they can fall to these habits. Also, Virgo Venuses, they can find themselves in relationships with people who constantly put them down, which would also just inhibit them to go in a more of a negative spiral. Because once they open up and trust someone, because it's still an earth sign, you know, they may stick with this person even though they aren't benefiting them in any way. They are introverted. They don't mind doing things with you, but they do need their alone time. They value their alone time, so make sure that you are able to give them their space to do things alone that they need to just recharge their social introverted battery that they have. They are very punctual. They are punctual people. Will get irritated if you're not punctual. If a Virgo Venus tells you, now this is not just if you're dating them, this is also if it's your friend, but if a Virgo Venus asks you to text them when you get home, you better text them when you get home. They mean it. They want to know that you got home okay. Because I know I am guilty of this. I have a few friends with Virgo Venuses that I forget to text back and they never make a big deal out of it, but I know that it bothers you. Courtesy is something, you know, they're polite. Since they are an earth sign, they give their all when they are in love. They will fully commit to you once they're in. They are devoted to you. They're very loyal. They are the shoulder to cry on. It's very Cancer-like, where they just want to be there for you and take care of you and nurture you, because Virgo is like the maiden. It is acts of service. It's a service giver. So they want to comfort you and be there for you. They are really good with their money. They're not the type to just like spend unnecessary amounts of money, but that doesn't mean that they won't if they see fit or whatever, if the occasion sees fit. The thing that they will do is they will plan something for you, or they will get you like a gift that is perfect, because they're so analytical and so attentive to you. They know exactly what you like and they will make that happen, even if it is something that's a little bit pricier, because you're worth it to them, you know. They're always thinking about how to make things work, but to maximize that. Also, they have very high sex drives and they are into some kinky different shit. They're not afraid to try new things in that department. Cleanliness is very important to them. Matching well, being very put together. They will pay attention to the small details of your outfit. Do you have a clean home? Having a clean home is important if you're gonna have a Virgo Venus come over. They will peep everything. They will peep. You have all gold jewelry except your rings are silver. Like they will notice, like, okay, that's kind of a clash, you know. But they just notice. It's not that they're like gonna like say it out loud. They might, but they just notice. They just notice things. Yeah, they're most compatible with their fellow Virgos, Cancers, Capricorns, Tauruses. They're least compatible with like Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, Aquarius, things like that. But it does depend on the rest of their chart. I do want to end this video with saying that the number one important thing to do, appreciate them and notice all that they do for you, and to return the favor, because they're so attentive to what you need. Return that favor to them and be there to acts of service is their main love language. Reciprocity, reassuring them and telling them that you appreciate them. So I guess words of affirmation and acts of service, giving that back to them is really important. And those are how you will keep your Virgo Venus happy. Now, if you have a Virgo Venus, if you know anybody with a Virgo Venus, comment down below. Let me know how I did. If I forgot anything, this was my interpretation of a Virgo Venus. If I forgot something, don't be afraid to let me know. And I will see you in my next video. Don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to my channel. It validates me and lets me know that you like me. Come on, Virgos, validate me.